Hey everyone, Matthew J here for a great video. It's about the great story of McDonald's and Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. I just finished reading Ray Kroc's book, Grinding It Out, The Making of McDonald's, and got into this after watching the movie The Founder that came out recently this past year or so. And my suggestion would be to read the book though, and not just watch the movie, as it gives a much different and better perspective on the story and the lessons from the one and only Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc, he was a salesman, grinding it out for his whole life. He did not get involved in McDonald's until he was about 55 years old, and it was not very easy for him at all for those years up until then, and even as he started to get involved with McDonald's. But the grinding it out for so many decades is what made him into turn the simple burger joint of McDonald's and from the McDonald's brother into the one of the greatest empires in history still to this day. And as I mentioned in my last video, why we all need to be salespeople. Majority of most salespeople, most successful people of all time, have critically learned sales skills right before they had their massive success. And these are like people that could have already been successful, for a common person, they could have been already doing very well, but for them, before they got into the leap to extraordinary results, they started to learn sales before then. And so Ray Kroc was grinding it out basically his whole life. Up until he got involved with McDonald's, he was always busy working as an ordinary salesman, never seen much of his family, not really making any much money to live a modern lifestyle or to enjoy it or anything like that. He was involved in selling like Dixie cups, just cups for a while, and then eventually multi-mixers, things to make milkshakes and stuff like that. And when he laid eyes on the McDonald's brothers and their restaurant, he was looking to sell them multi-mixers, but eventually had bigger plans as he saw something no one else could predict. It was his big break to make something massive in business. He didn't just see one business he could work in, but a prototype of something he could reproduce again and again in cities and towns all over the nation in the United States. This was not just a lucky break that came across, but was all because of the traits a true salesman and the skills that come with it. Self-discipline, persistence are the first to recognize here in what lessons Ray taught us with building McDonald's, and how sales skills give you much more than what we think they do. Ray Kroc knew how to create opportunities for himself after pitching to the McDonald's brothers for nationwide expansion of their restaurants while still selling them the multi-mixers, milkshake makers. The brothers asked who would manage their franchise division, and Ray Kroc replied, "What about me?" The McDonald's brothers didn't have a big interest to grow their business, so Ray took advantage of the opportunity. Ray said in an interview once, "I was obsessed with the idea of making McDonald's the biggest and the best. They were content with what they had. They didn't want to take risks and meet greater demands." Ray achieved success by caring about his business more than anyone else. And as you could see there, they had the business already. The main thing was McDonald's. The name was very important, and the system of how they were running McDonald's. But as most people, they didn't want to expand and take the risk. They were just complacent. They had enough to make some money and to have their own business, and they were just complacent and didn't want to risk further after that. And this is something I talk about with everybody, where everybody wants to just get their job, make 50, 75,000, 100,000, and it's enough, and all you're thinking about is, I can get my house and get my car, take care of my family, and that's it in life, and you're done. And this is very detrimental to anybody who becomes complacent in life. That stuff can make you depressed, unhappy, and you're not achieving and growing and progressing and completing and contributing to the world. It's just, you only got enough to do what you're already doing. So, and Ray says, if you work just for money, you'll never make it. But if you love what you're doing, you always put the customer first, success will be yours. So, that's, when you have bigger vision for just making your money, again, you're not going to have enough motivation eventually. You're going to be depressed, you're going to be unhappy, and it's not going to be good. So business should be about what you can provide for your customers and how passionate you are about that. If passion for your business and your customer is not there, your business will die. And as many successful people also say, when you need to be serving people. And as I learned in this story, as I continue to share here, you'll see where when you put the customers first before anything, your business, you can grow a business, you can make a business happy, and you can expand because you're bringing value to them. You're bringing more value to them than what they're paying for whatever they're getting. Another defining characteristic Ray held was, and it's very important to business and our freedom, and I will touch more on this in the end of the video. Ray said, if you are not a risk taker, you should get the hell out of business. Not taking any risks deprives you of the opportunity of being successful. Kroc took a small business model and began down a long expansion plan with absolutely no real idea of what the outcome would be. The fast food industry was still very young, if not non-existent, at the time when he embarked on his journey. But through perseverance and his willingness to take risks and gamble on himself and his product, he came out on top as one of the most successful entrepreneurs. And this is another thing I usually talk about, where most people, they're so scared and fear is running their life, and they don't want to take that jump in life, take that risk. Where most successful people, they're doing well, but they almost don't even know what they're doing. They're figuring things out as they go. And most people don't believe this because they see someone doing very well, they're conducting themselves well. But these people are that's why people have so many issues and problems, challenges in their business, in their life, because they're figuring it out as they go. Because to make things happen, you got to jump in, overly commit, be aggressive, and that's how things happen. But you figure things out as you go. You don't make everything perfect. On another video I did also is, trying to be perfect will prevent action. Some people, it's like YouTube videos. People they need everything set up. I got to be able to speak right, I got to look right, I got to have the right footage, the right camera, the right everything, and that may take you a year or two before you get all that settled and ready before you even start. And then by then you just move on, you don't even do it possibly, or whatever. It's just, eventually a lot of people don't even do it. You know what I mean? Procrastination kills you. So staying in the game, staying motivated, having persistence while things are not going as you would want is how this story unfolded. 55 years old until this man saw an opportunity that would change the way we look at business, and would be his biggest break. Paving the concrete that would change the way we look at businesses and setting values that businesses should hold, as well as us people. To keep these same core values to achieve massive success. Ray Kroc's persistence and love for serving others is why he was able to create one of the greatest empires in history. After not making much money for 30 plus years, working day in and day out with nothing to show for it, he still had determination to serve his purpose, to add value to others and what they needed and serve them, to continue to fight for what he believed in, and support himself, his family, and others. Having motivation every day to wake up and fight for what you needed to be done. Self-discipline to continue while things are tough or not working. He was relentless, this guy. Would stop at nothing to achieve what he set out to do. He would wake up every morning, 5 in the morning or whatever it was, and be working till late at night, 7 days a week, always, non-stop. He was not one to sit around for opportunity to fall in his lap, but also knew success did not come immediately. It took a great deal of patience and effort to transform McDonald's into what it is today. Like I said, it took him up until 55 to see McDonald's for the first time. He was grinding it out all the way out to 55, non-stop. And then still like for 5, 6, 7, I'm not sure how long, but many, many years to get McDonald's on track. It was not like at 55, things were going for him. It was a grind out to get McDonald's up to what it was to. When McDonald's brothers initially refused to sell it to him down the road, Ray Kroc opened a McDonald's right across the street, striving to outbid his competitors. McDonald's brothers worked to improve the quality of his product and services until finally they caved and the historic deal of $2.7 million was finalized. He once said of the dog-eat-dog world of business, "If any of my competitors were drowning, I'd stick a hose in their mouth and turn on the water." Just goes to show you, and this is another thing that all successful business people say, you need to dominate in your market. Every top company does. You have to, because if you don't dominate, you're not aggressive, the competitor is going to take you out. That's just the way business works. So, and then striving for perfection. Another thing, what he tried to work towards. And while nothing is perfect in this world, you should always shoot for perfection. Ray Kroc did everything he could to ensure that his customers received quality service every time they came to McDonald's restaurant. As McDonald's continued to grow and Kroc was able to open more locations across the country, he needed to develop a system that would ensure every single customer received the exact same quality food and service. To solve this problem, Kroc expanded upon McDonald's assembly line setup. He set up standards for how the food was made and also how it was cooked, what the serving sizes were, and how McDonald's packaging and icons would appear. So again, he put such a high standard on making sure the food was top notch, the service was top notch, the restaurants were top notch, and it's just all about the customer. And this is why McDonald's did well on almost every single franchise and location they opened up eventually did well. And if it didn't do well, it was because the operators were not following his system of perfection, where everything has to be on point. And this is why customers flocked to McDonald's back down in the 70s. Another thing is teamwork makes the dream work. Teamwork is one of the most important elements running a successful business, let alone a successful international empire. Ray Kroc said, "None of us is as good as all of us." And in order for him to expand his small one-unit restaurant across the United States and then overseas, he needed the help of loyal and dedicated employees. Kroc insisted McDonald's workers be treated respectfully in every location, setting up rules for fair treatment and respect for all employees, and also ensuring his workers had a comfortable and fair environment to work in. Ray also knew that once your value has expired of what you can offer, you should no longer be in the position that you hold. He was very particular of who he hired and also let go close friends after years of service to the company if it didn't make sense. So here is, he made sure you had to be just as he wanted his standards in the restaurant to be, he needed his employees to be like that. And then back in the 70s, he was respecting, bringing fair treatment to employees where, it's not like today where there's all these rules and regulations on how you got to treat people. He was bringing that, even as much of it, a harsh businessman he sounded like above when I was talking earlier. He was still fair to his employees, but again, when you weren't, pulling your weight, it's time for you to go. And that's he's just a very calculated, smart businessman. So these are the values he instilled within McDonald's company, and the values, of himself, his employees, and everybody, and why the business prospered in every nook and cranny in the United States and now around the world. He was quite persistent in how each and every operator and each franchise conducted the business, because he knew if they followed the values, there was no way they wouldn't be successful. And he was right. He valued customers so very much, insisted that they have the best service with the best product at a competitive value. So he knew if you instilled all those things into the franchise that you were running, there's no way you couldn't be successful. And they all were successful eventually. Sometimes it took some years, but eventually they all did well. So it still took many years before he got involved with the McDonald's brothers to build up even a few franchises that were working. He overcame many obstacles while almost being on the brink of losing everything. For so many times he almost lost everything while building up McDonald's and building up the franchises and everything. Even while the empire was growing, he was not making next to anything, because he still put everything he had on the line to make it happen. So risking nonstop, huge risk all the time, risking even these things. And this is late in life where most people would not risk anything because they're too scared, they need to be secure. We live in a very privileged time now, but I'll get to why, that's detrimental to us also. So he truly believed in everything he always did, and loved working the game, making sure the customers were always taken care of before him. He never sold out at any moment and continued his grind until the day he died. This character shows what it takes to be a successful person in any aspect of life or business. The core values of this are not applied to countless businesses around the world because the core values of this is not applied to countless businesses around the world, and as well as business leaders. These are all like, all these standards now are like major staples in businesses and business leaders around the world. Sorry about that. Got confused on my notes there. The thrill of completing your goals and achieving a bigger cause is more motivating and more satisfying than the actual completion. This is why many say the journey is better than the finish line. And when you talk to any person that has massive success, they will always tell you about the grinding out days and how those were the very best of their time. This is something many people are missing, becoming depressed because they are not in the spot they want to be. But when you infuse yourself into the journey and all the details, life blossoms and your happiness expands. When you are at the finish line, there's nothing else to do. Human nature is all about progression, completion, and contribution. When Ray was towards the end of his life, this guy made so much money was coming in because he had so much McDonald's stock, and they brought it to public, and the stock was flying, and he was making millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he was contributing millions of dollars, $7 million at one time to one charity, and all tons of charities, and just so much, employing so many people, but he was still going into the McDonald's because this guy loved the grind, loved working the details, loved making the business successes, loved giving the customers what they deserved, and that was enjoyment to him. He loved that. He did it literally his whole life. He didn't stop at all until the day he died. So, keep that in mind for when you're working on what you need to do in life, and, stop thinking about just I want to like be done work, and I want to, I just want a vacation, and I want to do nothing. When you do nothing, you die. So staying busy, like Ray Kroc, is very important to us, in my opinion. For one, it keeps us from wandering thoughts about past failures or regrets. It keeps us from depressed thoughts of where we are not yet. It keeps us from not wasting our time and money from greater goals, not wasting our resources and time. Keeping busy helps us make the most out of our lives. Remember that, time is always ticking. We only have so much of it, so make the most of your time. And if you're doing, if you're working, you're probably working for something bigger than you and a purpose in life. Ray Kroc, from 55 years old to just over 80, created one of the biggest empires of all time. He instilled values into the business world that will be here forever, as well as values for people. He fed billions of people, and his legacy still lives on today, and employed millions of people, donated millions and millions of dollars to great charities and causes. He did this, he started at 55, and just in like 25 years he did all this. So if you're older and near retirement, use this story as an example. Then there's so many stories like this in life, like Colonel Sanders, another one. But as I said about his grinding it out, it was the base that set him up to create such value in the world in him. It gave him the skills to achieve so much in such a little bit amount of time. So like, if things haven't worked, but you've been working on stuff for so long, you are creating a base, that could be setting you up for massive achievement, towards later on in your life. So keep that in mind. You don't need it so quickly. Another fantastic trait he brought to the business world is thinking big. It started with the multi-mixers idea. He saw how the McDonald's brothers had 8 of them going at once. The reason why was because if 7 broke down in that day, there would still be 1 mixing, and you can still service the customer then. This is the same theory which he brought to the McDonald's franchises. He applied it to the cash registers and seating sections of the restaurant, along the way down the road. The reason why is because if you have those seats or registers available, you would try to fill them up. If you only have 1 register and a few seats, when they are filled up, you will stop trying to find new business. This also applies to him expanding more and more franchises across the nation. And this does work and applies even to ourselves in our mindset. If we do not think it is possible or set ourselves up for bigger achievement, it is not possible to happen. Why would you look for opportunities or believe in yourself that it could happen if you don't think it's possible or you don't think about it? So Ray Kroc has shown here so many valuable lessons from himself and the McDonald's empire. The food may not be, the best to consume always, especially nowadays with our knowledge on nutrition and, and all the cutting corners to, improve profitability. I'm sure if you saw some things these days, you wouldn't be too happy. But you cannot dismiss the greatness that has unfolded from all this. He made more millionaires with his franchises than anyone in the world. I look at McDonald's a different way now, it's a great lesson now. I love to see it now. It's an amazing thing. And some fun facts here about McDonald's. They hire over 1 million workers in the U.S. each year. They are the largest distributor of toys because of their Happy Meals. The iconic golden arches are more recognizable than the cross, for religion. For 3 years, they opened a new McDonald's in China every single day. That's unbelievable. McDonald's restaurants are found in 120 countries and territories around the world and serve 68 million customers each day. McDonald's operates just about 37,000 restaurants now, employing more than 375,000 people as of the end of 2016. They serve more than 1% of the total world population in food, and they serve 75 hamburgers every second. And as of 2009, they were the 68th biggest economy in the world, bigger than Ecuador. McDonald's, as this the company as an economy, is bigger than Ecuador, to put in perspective. So a couple things I wanted to just end on here. I know this video is long, but it's so great. I think all these things is, that's so prevalent to today is what Ray said. These are the last couple paragraphs of his book, Grinding It Out. And it goes like this. Too many young Americans these days don't get a chance to learn how to enjoy work. Much of this country's social and political philosophy seems aimed at removing the risk from life one by one. It is impossible for someone to grant you happiness. The best you can do, as the Declaration of Independence put it, is to give them the freedom to pursue happiness. Happiness is not a tangible thing, it's a byproduct of achievement. Achievement must be made against the possibility of failure, against the risk of defeat. Where there is no risk, there can be no pride in achievement, and consequently, no happiness. The only way we can advance is by going forward, individually and collectively, in the spirit of the pioneer. We must take the risk involved in our free enterprise system. This is the only way to economic freedom. There is no other way. Such a strong message there, especially as the world has turned much more to that philosophy of having no risk, complete protection from any hardship, with entities being there for you at all times. We need messages like that to, persevere in this world. And the last thing, a quote here from him, it's easy to have principles when you're rich. The more important thing is to have principles when you're poor. From Ray Kroc. Ray believed that integrity should be firm and that your principles should stay groundless regardless of your circumstances. So wonderful things there. As I said, that the last two paragraphs there, everyone's trying to be protected, wants the government to protect them, wants handouts from things, and doesn't want anything to be hard or whatever. But as he said, we need risk. Without risk, without things being tough and having failure, there is not going to be that freedom feeling and that happiness of achievement. It's a wonderful feeling to be chasing that and to getting things done. So let me know what you guys think. I think this was a great topic. So many amazing lessons here. There's so many lessons I can take out of here that I've talked about on previous videos. So it's a great learning experience. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on all your comments on what you think here, and we'll see you guys on the next one.